Hello, everybody. Or actually, I should say this the proper way. Hello, my little Luxes. This is Charcy Lux. I am a closet cosplayer, and with me is my sidekick.
Hey, I'm DC. I'm not a closet anything.
I don't know.
I mean,
special.
I'm a closet Lego guy. I do a lot of Legos, so I'm kind of a child, you know.
You know, Legos I'm noticing are coming back into style again because I've seen like a lot of people blowing up with like different Lego builds, and
It's because
so I don't know.
they make adult Legos now, like the James Bond car and the Nintendo set, all that. Those are all adult Legos. It even says like on the packaging, it's like this is expert, not for kids. I'm like,
Well,
why?
the one that you got recently, I mean, that thing had like what, over 3,000 pieces on it?
Yeah, it was like 3,000. That's not the biggest one I've ever put together. Like that's not even close to the biggest one I've ever put together. I did the original Harry Potter Hogwarts was 6,300 something pieces because it was the
Jeez.
entire Hogwarts. Is it like the Hogwarts now?
The school, yeah.
Yeah, the Hogwarts now has three pieces. It's like you do the middle piece, the hall, and the classrooms or something like that. But this piece that I put together was the entire Hogwarts. So it even had the bridge and everything. It was crazy. I did it for my nephew. Like,
how many hours did that take you to put together?
It's like 12 or something like that. It wasn't too much because my nephew.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, my nephew got it when he was like 8. And he was like, "Hey, Uncle Darren, yo, I'm not doing this. Put this together for me."
You said your name.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. It's okay. Well, I mean, if you like watch anything else I do, if you want to know my name, if you did not catch what I just said, go to my channel, Death Curse Podcast, listen to any of the Death Curses because I use my real name in Death Curse. This is like,
that is true.
DC in Death Curse. I am who I am.
That is true.
Yes. So it's not like my name is impossible to find. So I even use it on Twitter sometimes. So.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty positive at some point in time I'm gonna slip my actual, well, it'd be my nickname, but to me it's my name. So, but we'll see.
Well, I use the nickname so much that I tend to forget what it stands
for. You might be the one who slips and says it, and I'll be like,
no, because around the house, your name is Charcy. So it's like, and I do that on purpose so I don't slip up and call you that. Like the only time I ever call you that is when we're texting. Anytime else, your name is Charcy. So,
although you have said my actual name on the Death Curse podcast at one point in time too.
Yes,
so.
and that was on purpose. Yeah.
Huh? Mm-hmm. Nobody will know.
Yeah, because I never said, "Oh, you know, my friend Charcy. Here's her real name." I just said, "Oh yeah, it's my friend," and then let it go. Yes. So it was, but the Death Curse is over. So, but anyway, so we are doing your second favorite today, and I would like to do I wanted to do your second favorite because we were like, oh, what are we going to do next? And I was like, I want to do yours because your second favorite is a lot of fun.
It is. I was going to say, so the second movie that we are hitting on is one of my, we'll get to my surprise secret about it too, but it is Tremors.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason we're doing 2 today.
there's a specific reason we're doing both Tremors and Tremors 2 Aftershocks, which is kind of like, if you think about it, the time frame from when Tremors first originally was made, which was in 1990, and the second one didn't even come until like 6 years later. I think it was 1996.
Yeah. But it was made 4 years later. It took 2 years for it to come out. It was
that I didn't know.
Yes, it was finished in 1994, but production was held up and they didn't want to release it because they didn't really have a place for it. And they didn't know how they were going to release it. It's like, and there was a petition to put it out in theaters and that petition failed. So it went straight to video. Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember when that one first came out to video. So, but we're going to hit on the subject for the original Tremors with Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward.
I have there's my closet right there. I am a closet Kevin Bacon #1 fan. I love Kevin Bacon. I hate the movie Footloose, but I love Kevin Bacon.
I see you hating Footloose, but I mean, you're not about musicals or heavy, weird.
It's a movie about a town that bans dancing. Come on.
It's illegal in so many ways that
And Dirty Dancing is about a pedophile. It is. She was 16 and he was like 35.
Well, the actress wasn't 16 when they made the movie.
But the character was 16. Dirty Dancing is about pedophilia.
See, and I picture those two because I saw Red Dawn before I saw Dirty Dancing. So I always pictured there from Red Dawn. So
classic. But now Jennifer Grey doesn't look like Jennifer Grey.
No, she doesn't. It's weird.
She had a lot of plastic.
But yeah.
Anyway,
we won't get in the subject of plastics.
Yeah, but Tremors though. Tremors.
So back to Tremors.
Yes.
So Tremors was one of those movies that it ended up coming to be due to the fact that the writers actually, and I was smart, I kept everything on my phone this time. So we have the director Ron Underwood, who with his
City Slickers,
with his best friends Brent Maddock and Steve Wilson. They actually had just gotten done selling Short Circuit, but the director that they brought it to, or the producers I should say, brought with the idea that they're like, we don't buy films unless you have other films to buy on hand. And the original idea of what was Tremors before was the Land Shark. Yeah. So technically it would have been the original Land Shark movies, but they blossomed into
They couldn't do Land Shark because of SNL.
Yeah.
Because SNL owned the name Land Shark, but the
I didn't know that.
Yes, the SNL owns Land Shark, but if now Land Shark is owned by oh my God, what is it? I think it's just Land Shark Brewing Company. It's a beer now. It's Land Shark beer. But the other two, the writers for the first one, not the director, the other two, they wrote Short Circuit 2, Tremors 1, 2, 3, 4. They went on a tear, man, of just really bad 80s and 90s movies that are beloved by everyone. So, because Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2, if you really watch those movies, those are terrible, but they are wonderful movies, and I love them. Same thing with Tremors.
They're cult classics, which Tremors originally bombed in the
hard
theaters, and they all thought that they were going to fail. And of course, Kevin Bacon would even mention and talk about the fact that he's like, he did Tremors and he literally was almost losing his career. Yeah. And he had to make the decision, like, do I want to do this? Is this going to fail? And he's like, I really want to do this. I love the script. I love the characters. And of course, having that happen where it just tanks at theaters and you're thinking, oh my God, what saved Tremors was VHS, and it was the blossoming of video rentals and video cassettes being sold. So, I mean, that's kind of a weird thing to think about, because it's like, especially for you and me, DC, is that's the generation we grew up in. It's like you went to the video stores and you rented movies, but here they are, is what literally saved Tremors.
Yeah, and Kevin Bacon was very embarrassed by this movie for the first few years. He would try to avoid the subject, and it was just, he was very embarrassed by this film. And now he loves it. He's like, oh wait, no, it's fine. I found my love for it because he went through some kind of thing in his career. I don't know what it was, but at one time he was very embarrassed by Friday the 13th. He was very embarrassed by Tremors, and then something happened in his career and suddenly he's like, no, I love these movies. Like, he's very proud of Friday the 13th now. He's very proud of Tremors, but it's like, you got to think about how bad Tremors bombed when he made more money and had more attention from Friday the 13th. That was that. And arguably Tremors is a better movie. Like, if you look at it at a purely stylistic kind of writing and all that, Tremors is a better movie because it has a more intricate plot. The characters actually have arcs. It's a very well written, very well made movie. Whereas Friday the 13th is a slasher, and that's all it is. There is no plot. It's just this dude, or this woman is going
Uh-huh.
to, mama's going to slash up people. And that's it. And then everyone's like, oh no, she had a son. That was not a part of the original Friday the 13th. Like there
Yeah.
was no sequel. It was just supposed to be some lady killing people. So Tremors is a better movie, and Friday the 13th got more attention. So pretty cool. And I love Kevin
People
Bacon.
just, well, and I think the director like even hinted on it when he even said, he's like, that the fact that they were so bad at advertising for this film, because back then they're like, how do you label it? Is it horror or is it comedy? And of course the writing crew is like, well, it's both. And they didn't know how to market that back then. I mean, us, as we love our dark comedies and dark humor and that kind of stuff, but back then they couldn't label it. They didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, and that's why it's PG-13. It was originally rated R. Like it was very violent. And actually watching it last night, it's still pretty freaking violent. I mean, they show brains and stuff. It's like, okay. But like I pointed out to you, I gave you a homework assignment before we started watching. I'm like, hey.
Which I want you to give this fact. I want you to give it since you're the one that told me.
Yes. I was like, hey, watch their mouths. And I'm like, because this was rated R, and especially Val had a filthy mouth in this. And if you watch, every time he says, especially on the scene, remember Bert, there are two more mother humpers, and you see him say motherfuckers. He actually says the word fuck, but hump comes out of his mouth. And it's just, and if you watch through the whole thing, you can see where they are dubbing it, yeah, making it to not be cussing. He does get away with one cuss word, and I think they chose the perfect one. So it's like because mother humpers actually is a great line. I like that line.
Yes.
But when they finally kill the first graboid, smashing through the concrete wall, and he just says fuck you. It's like, yeah,
it's a classic scene. It's I mean, there's certain scenes where it's just classic, and that you think about it, and it's like, that is definitely one of them right there. Yeah. And
my favorite line comes right after that. Like, that's not my favorite line. My favorite line is when they're digging it up, and he said, "Hey, I found the ass end." I love that. Well, that it's tied for my favorite line. My other favorite line is when Bert and they're finally giving up, and they're like, "When I give up, I'm gonna take this bomb and I'm gonna walk out there and just let it take me." And Reba McEntire just looks at it and says, "Good Lord,
honey. Lord, honey."
Like, Reba McEntire's very first acting job. This was
it.
And she was so phenomenal in this. Like, God, this actually has a great cast. Fred Ward, Kevin Bacon, Reba McEntire, Michael Gross, Lex from Jurassic Park. So
yes. And she even mentions before that she's like, if she goes to conventions or does anything fan-based, she's like, it's always awesome. People are like, especially if it's supposed to be for Jurassic Park, she goes, usually what ends up happening is they're like, oh, I love you in Jurassic Park, but I love you in Tremors. Yes. She also did the third one, and she came back.
Yeah. No pogo stick, though.
No pogo stick. She probably gave that up.
Like that, the sound effects for that pogo stick were terrible.
Very.
I'm like,
yeah, now that you mention that.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm pretty sure that was a bed sound, not a pogo sound. Whatever. It's great though. She was good in it. And then even though I hated him, the little shit.
Oh, Melvin.
Right, Melvin. Yeah.
God, I can't think of his. Well, I wrote it down. Robert Jane, which he also comes back in the third one.
Yes, that's called Back to Perfection. So yes, it's they actually had really good names. This Tremors, Aftershocks, Back to Perfection. I think it's like The Beginning or something like that.
Where they kind of go back into
Western
past. Yeah,
they go back to Western times. I mean, you had Cold Day in Hell, which I found out something about Cold Day in Hell because I actually watched them all. That's like, I'm just going to watch them all, and including the new one, and the new one is not good. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. John Heater is no replacement for Jamie. So
no.
But
I can't bring myself to watch it because Jamie Kennedy's not in it, and I love Jamie Kennedy. So.
Well, I can't remember which one it is, but I read about it and it was like it's either Cold Day in Hell or the new one where they cut the ending out. The ending was supposed to be Burt Gummer coming back to perfection, and he's finally done. He sets everything down and he sits in his chair and says, oh, "It's all over." And you just hear someone say, "It's not over yet," and he turns around and it's Val and Earl, like it's Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, and like they cut it out. So and I was like, man, that why would they do that? And they were just
Why
like,
won't they bring that? That's the reunion everybody wants, is they want Val.
I'm afraid Bacon's gonna ask for too much money.
I don't know if he loves it so much and he loves the fan base that comes with it. You think that he would do kind of like what Sean Connery did for the Bond movies, where he would just donate his money to like charity and that. It just, I don't know.
But
It's the reunion we'd love to see.
yeah, I mean, because Fred Ward, like I love Michael Gross, and I'm glad that he's the one that's in all the Tremors movies. I'm very happy about that. But Fred Ward steals the show in every single movie, including the first one. I mean, I love Kevin Bacon, but Fred Ward, that Earl is the movie because he is so funny and just, and he doesn't even have to talk through
No.
it. Like whenever they wake up on the rock and Kevin Bacon is cuddling his girl, and then he wakes up, he's like, "Oh, well, and then she gives him the jacket, and Fred just says, and it's like, yeah, just that look was perfect.
Yeah, he does the same thing later on when Vale's character is patching up Rhonda. Yeah. And once again, Earl's giving him the look.
Hold on. I know it's super unprofessional to leave like that, but it's this right here, and these are not mine. I do not condone smoking, but this. Mm-hmm. It's that. It's like, yes, these are not mine. I promise. I do not smoke. I do not drink. So, but like, yeah, it's that cigarette made it. I love it.
And just his smirk. But you are right. He's one of those actors where he doesn't even have to talk, and he's the scene.
Chews up that scenery. Forgot what other movie I was watching the other night, but it's just that I forgot who the actor was, but it's just, man, this dude just chews up the scenery. Oh, Jai Courtney from Terminator Genesis. Like, now he did a movie that is just absolutely horrendous, but Jai Courtney, I said it on one of my other podcasts. Like, Jai Courtney is one of those actors where it's like, oh yeah, Jai Courtney, yeah, he's a good actor. But then when you watch one of his movies, you're like, oh my god, he is so good. But he's just in so many bad movies. And Fred Ward, unfortunately, is the same. He's not in a whole lot of great movies. So he's good in his movies. I love it. Fred Ward, good on you, pal. He's still alive, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he's still alive and kicking. I was trying to look into like anything he's been doing recently in that, but it's like I'm the same way. I love him as an actor, and which, I mean, we can steer a little bit into Tremors 2 Aftershocks.
Because he is the star this time.
Yes. And which you had told me, I think just last night, was that originally both Reba McEntire and Kevin Bacon were supposed to be in this film, but had to turn it down.
Yes, ma'am, they were.
Which you can tell them why they had to turn it down. So.
Yes, ma'am. We were texting during this movie, and I told you about it and everything. We do what Charcy and DC do whenever watching a movie. We're just texting, doing our crap. And actually, after we got off the phone, I went further into it. I was like, I'm going to look all this up, which is why I only got 4 hours of sleep, because when I go into a rabbit hole, I go deep. Anyway, so Kevin Bacon and Reba McEntire, when the Tremors 2 Aftershock script was written, they were a part of it. They were supposed to be in the movie, ready to go. The movie was supposed to actually be Bert and Heather, Val and Earl versus the Tremors or the Graboids and the Shriekers. And so Kevin Bacon had to go do Apollo 13. I can't do it. I got to go do Apollo 13. honestly, I don't blame him. Oscar winner versus straight to video.
Yeah.
Um, and then Reba McEntire had a national tour. She was on tour for her Fancy tour, and Fancy Don't Let Me Down, classic. But so they could not do it, and the original budget was $17 million, but when those two departed, they cut it to 4 million, and that's why the Shriekers look like crap, because they're CG and they're bad CG. So that was supposed to be it. Like, they were supposed to be in there, and I went deeper into it. That was it. They were supposed to, the whole script, I never found the script, but it was supposed to be those four going on to face these little Shriekers. But they cut the budget and couldn't do it. And like, that's why it took so long to get out and everything else. They only had $4 million, and it was just that it pretty much cut this movie down to nothing. And it's a straight to video release. Like, this is a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. This one probably has more of the sci-fi feel to it than the horror feel, because technically only 3 people die in this film.
Yeah.
And yeah. Well, it happens in Mexico, yeah. So
well, that's the reason why. Well, actually, that's what I was about to say, is like, if they wouldn't have, if that wouldn't have happened, your favorite character wouldn't have been in the movie, because the reason why he was brought in was as a replacement. Was
because
Bacon.
Kevin, yeah. And so surprise! Tremors 2 Aftershocks is actually my favorite Tremors. So that's technically, but obviously I'm always going to lump it with the first one, because it's like, I'm going to pay homage to the first one, because the first one's amazing for what it is. And yes, I know Aftershocks is silly, ridiculous. The CGI is like not as great as what it could be. And in the first movie, they had no CGI. They didn't want it. They used all puppets. And that's the other fantastic part. The graboids are technically puppets. They're only like this big, like hand puppets.
Yeah.
So, but the Shriekers were little puppets, but then a lot of CGI kind of went into it. But you have my favorite character, which is actually Grady. And it's like, I came to the conclusion yesterday. I'm like, Jesus Christ, my personality is a lot like Grady, like ridiculously like Grady. So
yeah, he's definitely he was supposed to be like, he pretty much got all of Val's original lines. And then I think they said something about, in the making of the movie, the guy who plays Grady, you told me last night, I already forgot. My memory sucks.
Oh, it's Chris. Hold on, Chris Gartner.
Yeah, but he, whenever he came on, they basically wanted him to be Val, and he was like, "No, I'm going to make this character my own." And he turned him into what I pictured Jamie Kennedy if he played that role.
Yeah,
it was very Jamie Kennedy-esque, and it was a great role. He was definitely the second star of the movie, because Michael Gross hadn't found his. He started to find his
niche.
Burt Gummer.
His niche, yeah.
His real Burt Gummer. He started to find it, but because Burt Gummer in the later sequels becomes the star, because he becomes such a over exaggerated version of the first Burt Gummer. Like, Burt Gummer is he's a survivalist, and he takes it a little step too far. But later in the sequels, he's really bad. And even in Aftershocks, the one thing that I didn't like about Aftershocks is they had to send off Reba McEntire's character and Kevin Bacon's character. You had to send off Heather and Val. They sent off Val by saying he got married to the girl and everything's all happy, everything's great. But to send off Reba, oh yeah, she left him and divorced him. Like, that was her send off. It's like, no, man.
And yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe Reba would have wanted to do.
Oh, she wanted to.
Any of the following ones.
Yeah, she wanted to come back.
I don't know. It's just, especially for her character, like, for that being her first role and being a country singer and everything, that I think they had even said that when they were casting in that, they weren't sure if they were going to cast her. And they're like, yeah, we'll bring her and we'll see. And as soon as she
Based off
came
the
in, they're
chemistry.
like, yeah, they're like,
It
yes,
was based
we
off the
have to
chemistry
have her.
between her and Michael Gross. Fun fact about me, kind of embarrassing. I'm a huge Reba McEntire fan, and I read her
Me too.
I read her autobiography, and it's fantastic. But she has a full chapter about Tremors, and she got the role because of her and Michael Gross's chemistry. And she says it in the book that is the most fun she's ever had on a set, and that she would have come back for the second one in a heartbeat had she not been on tour. She's like, she would have taken half her salary to do that movie again. She loved it. And it was like, she's like, that's probably the most proud she's ever been besides her sitcom. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
because I know how much she was like, loves her sitcom. I mean, she did an amazing job with that.
Yeah.
And
Reba.
I'm like you, where it's like, okay, I mostly into metal and rock music and that, but it's like, it's old country I'm into. So I love and adore Reba. But yeah, I didn't know that. But it makes sense if you think about it. Like when you think about that movie and the chemistry and everybody there, that they formed a bond and a friendship, you can just tell. And kind of the same thing with the second one too, because Earl and Grady's characters just ridiculous.
I do love how, or the reason why Heather left Bert. That it's very subtle, very quick when he's explaining it to Earl on the phone. It made me laugh. It's because at this time in the 1993 or 1992, Russia and America actually had peace treaty. So it's like, we became friends with Russia. And they put that into the movie where Bert is like, ever since the embargo with Russia, she left me because she says I can't survive unless there's threat of war. It's like, oh my God. He's like, she says I can't survive unless there's threat of war. What? It's like, yeah. And then as soon as he says the graboids are back, he's just like, oh yeah.
He's alive again.
Yeah.
So she was right. Yeah. And what's he do for like 7 movies?
It's so many movies. And like, to me, the next best one was Cold Day in Hell. Like, I even like Cold Day in Hell better than 2. Like, Cold Day in Hell was just so good. And I think it's because of Jamie Kennedy. He really brought it.
And I love the 5th one. I can't think of the name of that one though. That's the first get introduced to Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
The Africa one.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed the Western one, the beginning.
Oh, the 4th one, yeah.
Enjoyed that one. I was like, that's actually because it was them with archaic weapons, and that's super awesome. I love that. I think it was Bloodlines. Bloodlines was the 5th one.
Yes, Bloodlines. Yeah. And
we find out that's Bert's son. So
yeah. Well, and also the fact that it's like they could play with the storyline and the fact that it's taking place in Africa, so everything's bigger and better. And
there is a screw up in the newest one. Bert is on there and he says, I've been killing these things on 2 continents. And it's like, he's actually killed them on 3 continents.
Yeah.
So Mexico, Mexico, Africa, and America. So he actually kills them on 3 continents when he said, I've been killing things on 2 continents. So,
unless they're trying to lump North America as one.
With Mexico, but like, if you and then the 3rd one gave us the ass blasters, which that's where you knew the movie started being a parody of itself. So it's like, okay, that's cool. Ass blasters. And I think Cold Day in Hell has a new one too. I think Bloodlines had a new one. Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about
the ass blasters looked scarier. They didn't look as comedic. So, but I don't know if they brought in new ones, but they just changed how they looked.
Yeah, they may have just changed it because it was, I don't know. It's been I watched them all recently and I just don't remember them because it's a lot like Sharknado where they all just kind of start blending together. I will never.
I get more ridiculous as you go.
here's a DC like giving you some advice. Never watch all the Sharknadoes in a row.
No, I wouldn't even do that. And guess
So-
what? I love those kind of movies.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I loved the marathon. I had a lot of fun with it, but I am in college and I am Alpha Beta Kappa. I'm honor roll. I have a 3.9 grade point average. And anytime I take an exam, I'm getting at least an 80 or a 90 on it, possibly 100. Like, I am very good. I'm very smart. I watched all the Sharknado movies and I took an exam the next day. I'm not kidding about this. This is a 100% true story. I watched all the Sharknadoes and took an exam the next day and got a 45 on it. My IQ dropped watching those movies. Like, luckily it was one of the cool professors that's like, okay, we're going to have 5 exams and we're going to throw the lowest score away. I love those professors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say those were always my favorite kind of tests where it's like, we'll get rid of the lowest one, thank Christ, because, you know, we all have, especially in your college days,
so
mistakes made the night before, and yeah.
There's your, there's a DC life lesson, but the life lesson of this whole thing of Tremors.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it. You like your life lessons. Goonies is another reason for this life lesson.
Well, technically our theme for this one was going to be about friends, because I mean, come on, the bromance between Earl and Val, and I mean, yeah, Earl and Grady, they had a great friendship as well too, even though it's like just spur of the moment, like brand new. But so, I mean, you can talk about friends any way that you want, and
gotta keep your friends close. So, I mean, you'll know your true friends, and Val and Earl were very close friends. They were going to leave perfection together. They packed up everything, drove off, and the lady was like, hey, do this one thing for me. I'll give you beer. And they're driving off. Whoa, we just turned down beer. It was like, yeah, so good. But
they tried to leave just one damn day too long.
What the hell is going on? I mean, what the hell is going on?
I shouldn't drink when you say that line. That's one of my favorite lines.
So good. Or where they're driving past the construction guys. Hey guys, you better get out of here. There's a psycho out there cutting people's heads off. And the one guy's like, oh, they're pulling our chain. And the guy's like, yeah. Let me grab this crowbar. Oh, good. There's a psycho out there, man. Cut people's heads off. They rip the graboid's tongue out, and it's like give you $10 for it, like 20, 15. Yeah, if he like ends up using it for pictures, like $15. Mm-hmm. Tell you what, he ain't getting no 15 for this one. It's like that right there, like all of this. You have Val and Earl. That right there is, if you ever come to where I live, that is everyone around here. Like, that is exactly how we act. We even say, like, if we have even a garden hose and we are tracing it down to the back part of it, we say the ass end of a garden hose. Like, if anything, like if we, what was it the other day? They were like talking about, my neighbor was talking about his truck, and he was like, some dude backed into his truck. He's like, yeah, he backed into the ass end of my truck. And it's like, you know, we actually say ass end. So it's like that. So that's home for me. Like, watching this is like, that is the people I've lived with my whole life. We are rednecks. I know I don't really seem that way, but like, we are all just rednecks around here. And Val and Earl remind me of that. And that close friendship is the friendships we have here. So the reason why I love Tennessee. So a lot of people think we're just this racist state and everything, but actually we are one of the most inclusive states in the world. So we're cool.
One of the most friendliest too.
Yes, we are very friendly here. But we do believe in Southern hospitality. Very much so, actually. So it's cool. But I mean, I have friends that I can't say I have a lot of friends that I've been friends with since elementary school. The longest friend I have, I've been friends with him since high school, and that's about as far as I can go. So like, I don't have any friends from elementary school, but been close, you know, That's what it is. You got to keep them. You got to have those people, man. The first person to show up whenever my mom died, bam, that was him. He was right there. Right. And that's what it should be. So friends are good to have, man. And now I've got you.
I know. I was gonna say, I'm like, there's technically our most recent one, which is ours now.
Yeah. Even though I get DMs about like our last episode. It's so weird, man.
Like,
Oh, I
oh
told
wait, you've told me. Oh, you've told me. Now everyone's gonna ask. But anyway.
Oh no, I got one that the girl thought we were married. And I'm like, what gave you that idea? You've seen my Twitter. You know I brag about my wife all the time. And then another one was asking if we were dating. And I'm like, did you watch the episode where we talk about our husbands and our wives in here? Were you watching that at all? And it's like,
it's because we have great chemistry, like Val and Earl.
I guess, but dang, man, come on. Just say yes, ma'am, and move on.
But I can literally say, yes, DC and I are very close friends now. And of course, most people don't know my personal life and that. I have friends that I've been friends with for like years. In fact, one friend, I don't know if I should use names or not, but she's been my friend since kindergarten. And in fact, I'm one of her bridesmaids in her wedding coming this September. And she doesn't even know about Charcy. Charcy, I keep private. Like, there's only a few people that know. And because if anybody knew about Charcy and knew about my OnlyFans, even though I don't do nudes, I mean, I do lewds, and let's face it, some of them get pretty risque, I would be fired from my job on the spot.
I'll vouch for that.
And yeah, my family is very Catholic, very religious, but my mom knows, and my maternal grandmother knows, and my grandma's awesome. Like, she supports me and everything, and she's always like, send me your pictures today, and I'll send her. And it's like, I know she doesn't understand it, but she'll just send me a text being like, well, that's interesting. But
edited ones.
No, I won't send her those ones.
Because I've seen some unedited ones.
The tame ones.
Yeah, I'm like, I was like, don't put that on OnlyFans. Don't put that on OnlyFans. Like, unless you're charging like $100 for that picture, don't do that.
So
that is not a sexual thing, by the way, people. She doesn't send me that for those.
I get like
it's an intention. Like last night. You sent me 2 pictures and like, hey, which one should I use for my for my preview? You know, I get that. It's not like she's straight up sending me freaking nudes or anything. It's always an opinion things like, hey, should I post this one? Stuff like that. I'm like, no.
Which one's better? Yeah. And
like
you're not
the
only one to do that
one,
too.
Yeah, because I don't know much about photography, but I'm like, sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, well, the lighting in this one kind of doesn't look right and stuff like that. So it's like nothing bad, but and
I'm a perfectionist. It's bad. It's bad. But my best friend in real life, which I would love to say her name, and I know it's a common name and it shouldn't matter, but my best friend Kayla is my world. And most people don't know this, is that last year, I mean, I'm not going to touch on base. I'm not going to bring up certain things, but last year.
I'm wondering how far you're going to go with this.
No, I'm not going to go down that way.
Okay.
Obviously, DC knows, but last year, the first half of the year was probably the worst part of my life. And I had close friends to me that I'd grown up with and had reconnected with when my father had passed away, which, you know, when you have someone that passes away, you kind of open up your heart and you forget people. And this old friend of mine, like, I'm not going to name her just because of the fact that she's not a friend anymore. She's not even a friend of me. Like, she's gone. And one of those things where she did horrible things to me and my husband when we had originally lived with her when we went to school at DeKalb. And I should have learned my lesson then and just stayed away from her, because she made piss poor decisions, and it literally affected me and my husband so bad that we almost got divorced. And that was back in like 2009. But like I said, after my dad had passed away, I'm like, I'm going to open my heart. I'm going to forgive her. Maybe she's changed. Well, it bit me in the ass last year. And most of you don't know that Charcy, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Charcy saved my life.
Yeah.
Because when I started Charcy was when, and none of you know this, was when my life was falling apart and I was literally dying inside. And DC became my best friend and my confidant. And my best friend Kayla didn't even know any of this was going on. And when I finally opened up to her and I told her in December everything that happened, because I had stopped talking to her, which was so unfair to her.
Yeah.
And when I told her everything, she told me she was hurt and heartbroken, but she still told me, she goes, I forgive you, I love you, and I'm here. And she knows everything about Charcy now. Yeah. And it's like, I can literally share anything with her. And she knows everything. She's probably, besides my husband and DC, that she's the only one that knows everything about me. Yeah. And she's my ride or die.
Oh, yeah. But there is a little person I feel should get a shout out, one of your friends here, because he is instrumental in creating Charcy and giving Charcy the platform she has. So, and he's been mentioned recently to us because of the name of our channel. Yes. And I don't know him personally. I've never spoken to him, but I hear stories about him all the time. And to me, he's a great dude. And Chris is, I feel, deserves a shout out because, and for like, a big thank you to everybody, because we did reach almost 150 views before we even started this second episode. We reached 100 views in 24 hours. And honestly, I don't feel we would have got that without Chris, because Chris gave you the platform and helped you amass the fans you have. He made you gained the fans you have by yourself. But he helped with
my starting point was literally Chris.
Yes. And he deserves a shout out, because without him, I honestly, truly believe we would not have had that many views.
So. Yeah. And I don't think that you and I would, I mean, we might have eventually met, but it's like, it's literally because of Chris and because my first cosplay was Cassie Hack that I got like the notice of Tim Seeley, who is the writer of Hack Slash, and Chris for the podcast, and reached out to me. And Chris is a dear friend to me too. Chris knows a lot about me too. And the fact that if you don't support Chris and his Radio of Horror and the fact that he just came out with a graphic novel called Vlada, it's literally the original story of Dracula, but it's gender swapped. And the art in it is incredible. And he did a phenomenal job retelling the story that's a classic that everybody knows, and made it his own, and it's still interesting. And so I've learned so much from Chris. Yeah. Like the fact that he has been doing his Radio of Horror for like how many years? It's the longest running horror-based radio show now. And he does several podcasts, several different channels, that he inspires me to be a better version of me. And it's like, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? So, I mean, thank you, Chris. I mean, I wouldn't be here today. Charcy wouldn't be a thing if you and I didn't become coworkers.
Yep. And I think that's a friend that deserves a shout out, because I mean, I don't know him. I've never spoken to him, but even I'm like, yeah, that dude probably deserves a little bit of the credit here. I mean, like,
I was eventually going to work up to it, but I was going on my sob story for
yeah. I was trying to lighten it a little. I was like,
thanks, DC.
Yeah, it was like he's a good dude, but that's the other thing is, man, we got 100 views in 24 hours, and I was like, what the fuck? Now, having said that, I will take credit for like 5 of those views. Like I was like, Laszlo for sure watches for me. Sam probably watches for a little bit of both of us, and Jackie probably watches for a little bit of both of us. But it's like I'll take credit for like 5 of those, and then the other 95, that's all you. That has nothing to do with me, because if you look at this, the views that this gets compared to DC covers, which is just me, it's shocking. I could actually tell you right now. I'm going to, because it's hilarious. 146 views on this one, and then DC covers, which is just me. The last episode was 8 views. It's like, yeah, so I'll take credit for 8 people.
You know that I love your show. I watch it all the time.
I finished up Terminator, so I'm happy. I'm done with that. I have no idea if I'm going to do Alien and Predator. I'm like 60-40 on it, and like 60 I'm wanting to just stop doing it, because it is taking a lot of my time.
Yeah. If you want to do it with me, I'll gladly do it.
Freaking
I love Aliens and Predators, so
it's very cool. But so now it's my turn, because you got to do your Tremors, and we get to do my second favorite. And I know I said that my second favorite was like Night of the Living Dead or something like that, but it's really my second favorite horror movie of all time is Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. And you have never seen it.
I have never seen it. And so I have flat out even said, I'm like, if I'm doing a first time watch with this one, and you've talked about this all the time, you've talked about it in your podcast before too. I'm like, I have to somehow watch it with you. I have to watch it with you.
Well, we kind of did it last night. We were texting while we were watching
the
Tremors.
Texting back and forth. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we were watching the same Tremors though. I think you were watching Tremors 2 and I was watching Tremors 1, but like we were texting while we were doing it, and I'm like, oh, like, and and we got a little sidetracked, but that was bull crap off the movie. But it's like, yeah. So that, like, I don't know why we can't just do that again. Just text while we're watching it. So like, it's
basically like my watch parties that I love doing with my teabaggers group.
It's Dude Bro Party Massacre. I'm going to go ahead and explain it for those, because I guarantee you we get 140 views on this. I guarantee you 80 people have never even heard of this movie. It is a very, very, very small budget, independent, very small movie. And you can just barely qualify this as a horror movie. But there is a lot of blood. It has the highest body count of any horror movie in history, with 156 kills.
How have I not seen this?
It's like, I mean, they made it a point. Like, that was one of the fun facts about the movie, is that when they were making the movie, they looked up what the movie with the most kills is, and they doubled it. So it's like, that was the whole point, was we're going to kill everybody. And I mean, I've watched the movie, and they say there's 156 kills in it, and I don't see 156 kills. I see a lot of kills, but I think it's because they count the town, because there is a town that gets flooded in it, and I think they count that, and they count the plane crash. So there's a lot of crazy shit. But this movie, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, it's the third one.
I've already lost. Like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, there is no 1 and 2. This thing is, and this movie starts with a recap of Dude Bro Party Massacre 1 and 2 movies that don't exist.
So don't even look for them.
Brilliant. Like, all this is, if people don't know what 5-second film is, 5-second films is a little college group got together and started making 5-second films. It was made by Patton Oswalt. And Patton Oswalt actually wrote Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, or helped write Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. And Patton Oswalt is in Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. He's the only star of the whole thing. There are cameos. I won't spoil those. And this is just a movie that is a parody of the 1980s slashers. And it includes bad acting, which is all done on purpose. You love it. Gore, practical effects. That's the one thing about the movie, is that the practical effects are very realistic looking. They look really good. That's the only good thing about this movie. A plot that makes zero sense.
But good practicals.
Self-awareness. There are many. There are some fourth wall breaking scene. All that. Oh my God, she's going crazy. She's got a cat.
This is my Callie. She's my little pissy monster.
She's showing. I see. Look at this. We promised there would be no pussy on this.
I lied.
You're breaking.
I have to have my floof. Yeah. It's Catter Day. Happy Catter Day. This thing is like inverted, so I think it's this way, but it's this way.
She's a cat.
She's actually. Yeah, I'm a kitty person, so.
And I'm a dog person, so. But yeah, the Dude Bro, super awesome. I love the movie. It's funny. There's just super funny lines in it. Stupidity. I mean, I will. It's not spoiling anything, but there is a point in the movie where one of the plot lines is somebody has to go bop someone on the nose and turn them into a bag of oranges.
I was so lost. What the hell?
Yes. You
can't spoil anymore.
That's not spoiling. You've got to pop them.
You got to save it for. You got to save it for the other episode.
Oranges. It's just so stupid. And you will watch this movie like this is the stupidest movie I've ever seen. But then later you'll just be loving every minute of it. So it's a good movie.
I guess with that announcement of Dude Bro is going to be our next one. Dude Bro.
Classy.
But so yeah, we can wrap it up. And obviously, so Tremors, but technically Tremors 2 Aftershocks, because I love my cheese.
Yeah.
Bite me. I love my cheesy horror movies.
I preferred the first
Tremors
myself, but that's me. So.
But I also understand it.
Yeah.
And I love the first one too, because I mean, well, obviously we wouldn't have any of the other Tremor movies without the first one. Originally, Land Shark.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was Graboids, because it's such a weird name to begin with.
Yeah, Graboids and
Shriekers
and ass blasters and I think the Asian guy's his daughter comes in for Back to Perfection or something like that.
The third one, yep.
Yeah, and she's the one.
Or granddaughter.
Yeah, and she's the one who names the ass blasters. So
he
names the Graboids. She names, so every time they get a new thing, that family names it. So it's like, it's kind of cool. A little throwback.
Except for Shriekers. I think Grady named Shriekers. So
it was a good one. And there was only one part of part 2 really irked me. And it was whenever they had the bomb on the RC car and the Tremor would take it and they blow it up. That only worked once in the first one. He threw the lasso and they took it and then it spit it back out at them. So why were these Graboids stupid? Why were these?
Because they weren't around when the other ones were dying. It's like they were isolated. They were more spread out. Whereas I was prepared for this. Look at that. I was prepared for that. So in the first one, they're together. Yeah. And because it had that example, whereas these ones were isolated. So every time they were killing them, I mean, if the Graboid's not there, it can't learn from the situation. So
it's good. And they had the scene where they're all coming at him at the once. And I was like, dang, that's like 19 of those things.
Ah, so good. I love the cheesy, low budget little seismograph TV thing that tells them where the Graboids are. And then he has to carry it when they have to go across because they're like, because it's Pedro, right? That Pedro's going to pick him up for the Graboid.
Yeah. And they
have to walk across the way. And he's like, I got what I got. And you got Grady with all these guns and weapons and that. And goes, well, you can help with that. And Earl's just like, I got what I want. And he's looking at the TV.
So good. That's a good movie. It was a good movie. I know they start going downhill after the second one. So
yeah,
it's like they become, because I think that's when they started debuting on Sci-Fi at the time. Was the Back to
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And once Sci-Fi starts putting it on their show, it's like Lake Placid is a phenomenal piece of cinema, and then Lake Placid 2 is a sci-fi movie, and it's terrible. Oh,
I have never. Oh, I have seen the
camera died.
Just at that part then. So I mean, I guess we could wrap it up technically, or do you want me to grab a battery?
We can wrap it up. It's cool. I'll do it since Charcy just decided to step out. No, her camera died. It happens. It's all right. But this is Little Channel of Horrors. Yeah, I'm DC. You can hear.
I'm technically Charcy. Lex.
Yeah. Still here. I'm sorry you have to look at my ugly mug and not her beautiful face at the end of this. But
shut up, you're pretty.
all right. Later, y'all.
Bye.